Palmer. Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in, Hunt Palmer, coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on a Thursday. Hope your week is going well. Casey Gaines and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. A lot to get to over the next 2 hours. James Rappian from Locked On Bengals is going to be with us at 1:30 to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals, who I guess now are kind of our NFL team. Saints are in the rearview mirror. Long time gone, and the Bengals moving forward with one more game to get back to the Super Bowl. Brock Cantrell, who wears a lot of hats here in Baton Rouge, going to be with us at the end of this hour, talk a little basketball and a little baseball. Shea Dixon of On 3. It's so odd to me that we're sitting here in the end of January, and there's just no recruiting talk. This was life in the fast lane as of 3, 4, 5 years ago. This was visits. This was rumor mill. This was Under Armour All-American game fallout. This was go time in the recruiting world, and it's not right now. There is another signing period coming up. What could LSU do there? And then Shay's done a pretty good job over at On 3 over the last couple of days of highlighting the next crop of Louisiana talent and what's coming down the pike. We're not going to get into individual names, into the nitty-gritty of guys that are juniors in high school, but just an overview of kind of where the strengths of the class in Louisiana may be and what Brian Kelly may be able to get out of this state, what he may have to leave this state to go get. Got some Matt McMahon sound from his coach's show last night in the second hour, SEC Basketball Power Rankings. Take it or leave it. It's all here coming up over the next 2 hours. But in the first two segments, I'm going to misbehave a little bit. In different ways, but I'm going to misbehave just a little bit in these first two segments. Y'all know how I've done picking games. College basketball, NFL, college football. It's been a tough go for your boy picking games. Most of my hunches are wrong. Most of my angles don't play out. It's been a rough go. There's no doubt about it. I own it. You've heard it. I can't run from it. It's on tape. You can find it on YouTube. Find it anywhere. That doesn't change my feeling that I think the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl. Is it okay if I say that? If I'm like the ultimate mush and I come out and say they should be the favorites to win the Super Bowl? I mean, you look at FanDuel and they've got the future odds out to win the Super Bowl. And you look at the 49ers, they're plus 320. You look at the Eagles, plus 230. They're technically the favorite. On the AFC side, Chiefs are plus 280. Bengals are plus 260. So the Bengals are second favorite odds to win the Super Bowl, which is interesting because the Chiefs are -1 on FanDuel right now. But at this point, the Bengals are not even close to what we thought of them this time last year. This time last year was like, man, can't believe they beat the Raiders. That's a nice win at home. Nice job by the Bengals winning a playoff game. Haven't done that in a while. Oh, man, went to Tennessee. They were a good team. Tannehill had been great, and Henry's coming back and give up 1 million sacks. And Bengals did a nice job to go to Nashville and get a win. All right, well, Chiefs will probably handle them. I know they beat the Chiefs a couple weeks ago, but it's the playoffs. Mahomes, Reed, Kelsey, they'll handle business. Tyreek Hill. And the Bengals went there, and even though they got down a couple scores, came back and won the ball game. Well, then they were the plucky underdog in the Super Bowl. Team that nobody expected to be there. Young hotshot quarterback, playing with his college wide receiver. But I don't know if they can handle the Rams. And they couldn't block the Rams. Let's be honest. They couldn't block them. Couldn't do enough. Hit a trick play for a touchdown, but the Rams were the better team. And the Rams won it. And then the talk was, okay, you get into August. Can they do it again? You look at the division. We think Cleveland's going to be pretty good, but Deshaun doesn't come back till December. Pittsburgh kind of in a rebuild a little bit. Baltimore's always good. What's it going to look like? And they start 0-2. Well, maybe it was a good story last year. Maybe they're the the Matt Ryan Falcons. Maybe they're the Cam Newton Panthers. Maybe they're the Blake Bortles Jaguars. 1 year, pop up, see you later. And then they started playing great. And you look up, and the Bengals have won 12 of their last 13 games in the NFL. Average margin of victory in those 12 wins is 10 points. Sure, they've won some close games, but they're winning every week. They've beaten the Chiefs 3 times in a row. Mahomes is gimpy. I don't care if he looks comfortable coming off a press conference. You can fake anything for 5 steps. He's not going to be fully healthy. And then you look at the Eagles and 49ers, and yeah, they're really good teams, and we'll break that matchup down, and certainly both of those teams could win the Super Bowl. There's no plus 650s on this list. Everybody's between plus 230 and plus 320. Those odds are pretty close. But this Bengals team, with the defense that they're playing, and with the quarterback that everybody's kind of decided is the best one going, I think they're the favorite to win the Super Bowl. And if you want to have some fun, I know there are some people down here in South Louisiana and Louisiana as a whole that once Joe lit it up in Austin, threw a couple bucks down on the Heisman and got some cash. Well, you can't get those odds, but I'll tell you right now, if you go to FanDuel, Burrow to win the Super Bowl MVP is plus 330. That's as good as you're going to get. If they win on Sunday, you're not getting that the next 2 weeks. So if you want to put a little cash down on Joe, these are the longest your odds are going to be at plus 330. If you want a little better return, might I suggest Jamar Chase at plus 2,400 to win the MVP. Just got to catch a couple touchdowns, go for 150. He does that all the time. As long as Mixon takes in the other touchdown or two, you'll be in good shape. It's just the way I feel. Look, I'll take the heat on Monday if we come in here and the Chiefs have beaten them by 2 scores, and you can all run to the Bayou Ford chat, and you can say, Hunt, you're an idiot. Thankfully, I faded you. I took the Chiefs. Now I've got some money, but I'm still bummed out because Joe and Jamar are out. I'll take the heat. It just feels that way. If the Eagles and the Bengals play, I like the Bengals. If the 49ers and the Bengals play, I like the Bengals. We'll talk about the matchups tomorrow. I think we do have the best 4 teams. But let's be frank. The only reason that the Bengals are going to Kansas City this week, in my opinion, is because they lost that game due to the awful circumstances around Damar Hamlin. They play that game. The Bengals are going to beat the Bills in Cincinnati. They just thumped them in Buffalo. And they're going to get the 1 seed. It's just a positive happenstance that the Chiefs got that extra game because we know that the Bengals already beat the Chiefs. So it's just, I look at the odds, I look at the teams, I look at the last 2 years as a whole, I look at the last 13 weeks. It all points Cincinnati's way to me. Now, this will be something that we really dive into tomorrow because there are some statistics. Like Dan Orlovsky's laid some stuff out on Twitter. There are 3 hellacious defensive fronts that are left, and that would be the impediment to the Bengals. We'll see, based on practice reports today, who's able to play on the offensive line for Cincinnati and what that may look like. But they clearly knew they were going to be compromised up front last week and just didn't let it affect them. The Bills don't have quite the front that KC and Philly and San Francisco have, but it's pretty good. Doesn't matter with 9 back there. He gave another really good press conference yesterday. They said, "Did you say I'm him on the field last week?" Which, for those that are not quite with the times, clearly I'm not, but I do know this one. He's him or she's her. That's like the cool thing to say to kind of anoint someone as awesome. And Joe apparently said, "I'm him" on the field last week. Somebody asked me, said, I might have blacked out. I don't know. I don't know what I say out there. Then they asked Joe Mixon if he said that, and he said, well, he's not lying. And then they asked Tyler Boyd, did he say that? And he said, I've been telling people that for 3 months. They feed off him like the 19 team fed off him, like everyone's always fed off him, and they bring an air of confidence that's intoxicating. They won't take the field scared for a second on Sunday against Kansas City, who is the 1 seed. I just think the Bengals are better, and I think they're going to win the game. So we'll dive deeper into the matchups coming up tomorrow on our Friday edition. We'll also have a ton of baseball tomorrow. Jay Johnson's going to meet with the media at noon. We'll take that live here on the station. He'll go for probably about 45 minutes. We'll give an opening statement, take questions. We'll air the whole thing live. Charlie's going to be out tomorrow, so I'll take over at about 12:45, and then we'll catch up on some time, and I'll run it until 3 o'clock when we hand things off to Matt. So big baseball day tomorrow, big football day tomorrow, and we'll also talk a little bit of basketball tomorrow as well. James Rappion's going to come on to talk a little bit of Bengals here in 20 minutes from right now. When we come back, I told you I was going to misbehave in the first 2 segments. I'm gonna misbehave in the next segment too. It's Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal. They are elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana every day here on the Hunt Palmer Show. January's champion of Louisiana is Hunters for the Hungry, nonprofit that was founded by a group of local hunters back in 1994, and since then they've grown throughout the state. Now they partner with all 5 major food banks in Louisiana. Hunters for the Hungry works to reduce the number of hungry families by connecting hunters and fishers across the state and capitalizing on the bounty of the land with their neighbors in need. The mission is simple and open to any and all Louisiana residents. Even if you're not an outdoorsman, donations of all proteins, including beef, pork, and poultry, are not only welcomed and accepted, but also needed at these food banks, and Hunters for the Hungry makes that happen. 1 deer can provide 240 meals. That's the kind of contribution that Hunters for the Hungry makes in our great state. That's what makes them a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana, whether it's a nonprofit, a business, or a person that's doing awesome work for our economy, for the people in our great state, like Hunters for the Hungry, let us know. Go to lwcc.com/champions. Again, lwcc.com/champions, and nominate someone to be a champion of Louisiana. LWCC will check that nomination. If they love what's going on, they'll let us know, and we can put them in as a champion of Louisiana, like Hunters for the Hungry. Hunters for the Hungry, January's champion of Louisiana, presented by LWCC.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I've got that blue sky, I've got that sunshine.
Bayou Ford has $4,000 off MSRP plus $1,000 Ford credit cash on new 22 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. That's $5,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird.
Championship Sunday in the NFL playoffs. Tune in Sunday at 2 p.m. when the Eagles host the 49ers for the NFC Championship. Then the Chiefs host the Bengals at 5:30 for the AFC Championship. Right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, I told you that I would not be on my best behavior in this segment, and that's because the exercise that I'm about to go through is completely and utterly worthless. It is of no value to anyone at all, but it may lend some perspective. Last year at this time, you were looking at an LSU basketball team that was towards the top of the SEC, not going to win the league. They were struggling to score points at times, but they were competitive, and they were certainly a team that had eyes on the NCAA tournament because they were winning some conference games. They had a really good resume on paper. The defensive efficiency was great. They were going to be an NCAA tournament team, and they were. And they had an elite signing class coming in. And it was easy to look at the program and go, man, next year they could be really, really good. But obviously, we know what happened. Will Wade was fired right before the NCAA tournament. The signing class all decommitted. The whole roster jumped in the portal. And right now we're dealing with a roster that Matt McMahon had to cobble together. And this is the result of it. You've lost 7 games in a row. But let's just look at what it would have looked like if everything would have stayed normal. And you just would have kept the train running. All these guys are playing somewhere. I'll let you know how things are looking and what the roster would have looked like. Bear with me. Xavier Pinson did that for 2 years. Xavier Pinson had another year to come back and play at LSU. He went to New Mexico State instead. That's a guy that started a ton of games in the SEC. He's at New Mexico State averaging 13 points and 4.5 assists per game. He's shooting 35% from three. That's about what he was last year. He's shooting a little bit better than he did last year, but he did miss some time with that injury. I think he would be handling the ball a ton for this team. Now, the guy who's really taken a step in his game this year and has become a really good college player, he was good last year, but he's taken the next step this year is Brandon Murray. Remember the freshman guard last year? He's at Georgetown, averaging 14 points a game and 3.5 assists. He's shooting 36% from three. He scored 29 in a game against DePaul a couple of weeks ago. He would play a lot for this team as a scoring guard. You've got Adam Miller on this team. He would certainly be there. Eric Gaines went to UAB. He's scoring 12.5 points per game, 4.5 assists per game. He's shooting almost 38% from three-point range. We know that Gaines was never a great shooter, but he's been shooting it pretty well for UAB. So those would very likely be the guys, along with Justice Williams, who would be forming your backcourt. Xavier Pinson, Brandon Murray, Eric Gaines, Justice Williams, Adam Miller. That would be your backcourt. You'd have a little bit more offensive punch, I think, with those guys. Now, here's a guy you really would have liked to have in the boat. We talked about him last week because LSU played him. Julian Phillips, 6'8", wing, 10 points per game at Tennessee, 5.5 rebounds. He leads Tennessee in free throws attempted, free throws made. He's 6'8", he can drive, he can jump. He's needs to shoot a little bit more, quite frankly. But he would be most of the time your 3, along with maybe Imwani Wilkinson. Alex Fudge, likely a lot of time at the 4. He's 6'9", crazy athlete at Florida, but it's not like he's lighting the world on fire at Florida. 7.5 points, 5.1 rebounds. He hadn't scored in double figures in a single conference game. So he's a guy. Fudge is a guy you look at and you look at his jump shot and warm-ups, like, looks real smooth. He's a freak athlete. He's so long, 6'9", can run. It's like, man, this guy be an NBA guy. But the production in the college level now in year 3 hasn't been outrageous. And then you go to the front court where you would have had Efton Reed back for a second year, hypothetically. I know how the transfer portal works. Any of these guys could have left. I get it. But we're just going through an exercise here. Efton Reed, 7-footer. He went to Gonzaga, which I think surprises a lot of people. If you watched him play last year, it didn't scream top 3 team in the country. That's a high standard to reach. But so he's at Gonzaga, 2.6 points per game, a rebound per game. From the free throw line this season, he's 2 of 6. He doesn't play very much for Gonzaga. He's got 42 points on the year, and 16 of those points, which is nearly half, came against a D2 school. So he's not really a factor at Gonzaga. Now, Johan Traor was a five-star signee that LSU had inked, and he's a 6'10 freshman at Auburn. He's scoring 2.5 points, a rebound and a half per game. He's only scored in double figures once all year. So if you look at the team that Wade would have put together, and Marvell Allen was gonna come early, he's decided to stay back and didn't do that. Now he's at Georgetown. Devin Ree was a signee in this class. He's at Louisville, who's maybe the worst team in Power 5 and doesn't play very much. So this freshman class that looked incredibly star-studded, Johan Traor, 5-star, he doesn't do much for Auburn. Devin Ree, 4-star, doesn't play much for Louisville. Marvell Allen doesn't do much at Georgetown. And then you had Efton Reed in the class before that hasn't become the 5-star, 7-foot impact guy that you would have thought. But if you know Will Wade, I think you realize he'd have gone and found some transfer. I mean, look, Marble over at A&M came from Michigan State and is starting for them in the post and playing really well. You look at Janai Broom, who's playing great for Auburn. You look at KJ Williams, who was at Murray State, who could have potentially, I guess, transferred theoretically. Somebody like that to help in the front court. The back court would have been a lot of the same guys as last year. You just would have gotten probably a little bit more production from Brandon Murray. And then you really would have gotten a lift offensively from Julian Phillips. LSU was so good last year defensively, and that would have been the same. Pinson's a good defender. Gaines is a good defender. Murray's a good defender. Fudge is a good defender. Miller's a good defender. Imwani can defend. And Johan Traor can block some shots around the rim as well. So your defense still would have been good. You needed offense. Where would it have come from? Well, Julian Phillips would have helped a lot. And who knows if Adam Miller wasn't the only guy out there that was a threat to shoot outside of maybe KJ Williams. Maybe he shoots a little better. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. We're playing a total hypothetical game. But I think in my head, LSU basketball was going to be a top 10 team in the country entering this season with what they had put together. And as I look at it on paper, I don't necessarily feel the same way. Now, we know how the transfer portal works, and I'm 100% confident, not certain, but confident that Wade would have gone into the transfer portal and found 2 or 3 more guys to help. And that would have likely resulted in 2 or 3 more guys moving on. But it's not as star-studded now 10 months later as it may have looked. Yeah, they'd have been pretty old. They'd have been a little bit better on offense. Their front court of Efton Reed, Johan Traor, Alex Fudge isn't exactly banging down all-American lists at this point. But it's interesting to think about to me. And quite frankly, it's more interesting to run down that list and talk about what that could have been than to go, oh, did you realize that ex-LSU player is 4 for his last 27? You know he's shooting 19%. Like, we get it. We're going to talk. Matt McMahon's got some sound from his coach's show last night that we'll talk about. Some interesting things I think that he brought up last night with Chris Blair. We'll do that in the second hour. But it kind of perked in my mind, like, how are some of these guys doing? I don't know what Gaines is doing at UAB. I don't watch any Georgetown basketball to see what Murray's doing. I certainly don't know what's going on at New Mexico State where Xavier Pinson is. I follow Fudge and I follow Treyarch. I didn't know what Reed was doing. But, just interesting to kind of kick that around every once in a while. When we come back after this timeout, we're going to talk a little Bengals. James Rappian from Locked On Bengals is going to come on and talk with us. Brock Cantro with us at the end of the hour. And Shea Dixon talking lots of Cruton at 2 o'clock. Can't wait to get Shea D's thoughts on what is going on. Might give him an Eric Gaines update as well. Huge Eric Gaines guy. Shea loves Gaines. So we'll talk to Shea at the top of hour number 2. Stick with us here on a Thursday. Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Start your day with news and newsmakers. Start your day with traffic, weather, and local stories that are important to you. Kickstart your day every day. Mornings with Brian Haldane from 6 to 9 a.m. Weekdays on Talk 107.3.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, the latest on the Sean Payton saga, and we'll recap Pell's T-Wolves. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Only 4 teams left in the National Football League. Cincinnati Bengals are 1. Looking for a little more Bengals talk? You can go to the Locked On Bengals podcast. The host there, James Rappy, and he joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. James, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing very, very well. Imagine things are pretty good up there in Cincinnati these days. Can you describe the different energy in that city and around that team over the last 3 years as opposed to the 10 or so before it?
It's not even 10 or so. Honestly, we could go back my entire life, but even if you go farther than that, back farther than that, yeah, they had some, AFC champion teams, but nothing like this, and nothing that felt this sustainable, believe it or not. And they've set a bunch of records over the past couple of years, and obviously Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are a big reason why. So energy's at an all-time high, and people here are obviously hoping that they could finish the job that they started last year and came so close to finishing, which obviously would be a Super Bowl championship.
Does it feel like a different attitude than last year? Maybe last year being kind of a plucky underdog, this year kind of being more of an established team and potentially a front runner?
Yeah, I think so. I think that last year you were expecting them to trip up, not because you didn't believe in Burrow or Chase or even this defense, but because we knew the elephant in the room was the offensive line. And now, even though they're dealing with some issues there, and injuries, it hasn't been as big of an issue, and they've been able to solve it. Part of that's Burrow just being even better than he was a year ago. Part of that is this offensive line being better. And so this offense is certainly playing as well as I've seen them play over this run over the past couple of seasons.
How was the offensive line so much better last week, missing 3 key pieces there? Was it just Joe getting it out quick?
That's a big part of it, right? Joe Burrow was just seeing the field so well, and his quickest pass from snap to throw was 1 second, 1.1 seconds, I think, according to Next Gen Stats, which is just so fast. He said he didn't even have the laces on that one, which is understandable. But it's not just that. This offensive line did a great job of run blocking, opening up holes for Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine, which makes life on Joe Burrow much, much easier when you have a reliable run game. So they deserve plenty of credit. I think it's going to be different this week in Kansas City. It's a tough place to play. Communication is going to be tested even more. And by the way, they have a guy named Chris Jones in the middle of their defense that really makes things tough.
We know him well from his Mississippi State days down here in the Southeastern Conference. So what do you expect that lineup to be on the offensive line this week? Any updates on the injuries as we move towards Sunday?
I think Jonah Williams and Alex Kappa are both progressing, but unfortunately, I think that this is going to be one of those things where can you get to the Super Bowl? If so, you might have both guys back. But this weekend, I would expect it to be the same. So from left to right, Jackson Carman at left tackle, Cordell Wilson, Ted Karras, and then 2 backups, Max Sharping and Akeem Adeniji on that right side. Obviously, the other backup being Jackson Carman in at left tackle.
Why have the Bengals had so much success against Kansas City over the last 2 years?
Oh, man, it's a mixture. First thing, you have to start with Joe Burrow and how well he's played. He's outplayed Patrick Mahomes. But really, over the 3 games, it's been somewhat different. Jamar Chase in that first game was just unbelievable. 266 yards, helped them come back after being down big early. The second game, in the AFC title game last year, I think it was Burrow. They dug themselves in a big hole, and he was just a magician in the pocket. And despite being hit, Chris Jones getting after him, he really evaded the rush and found ways to make plays. And then this past win over them in Week 13, I think it was a mixture, but you give it to the defense because they forced a big turnover late in that game. Travis Kelce fumbled, and really they've done that throughout. The AFC title game, you look to, and in overtime, they got a stop to start things with an interception by Von Bell. Jesse Bates batted it away. And obviously Joe Burrow and company, they were able to get the ball downfield for the game-winning field goal. So it's been a complete team effort, and it's going to need to be the same way because we know how talented this Chiefs team is.
A lot is being made of Patrick Mahomes taking 5 steps off the podium yesterday, and everybody says, oh, it looks pretty good. I think it's a little bit different playing a football game in the NFL. Do you think the Bengals game plan changes a little bit because of the ankle injury, or does it kind of look the same?
I think it's going to look the same, but they've always thrown different wrinkles at Mahomes every time they've played, and this week is no different. If they look at him and they say, oh, well, he's certainly struggling to move laterally, I certainly see a scenario where they say, all right, let's blitz him a little more. Let's try to get him off his marker and make him move. In most of these games, that's the last thing you want to do, right, is make Patrick Mahomes get out of the pocket because that's when he's at his best making plays. So I think there's a delicate balance there. You treat him like he's healthy, and then you kind of gauge things as the game goes on.
How do Cincinnati Bengals fans feel about Eli Apple?
They, I think there's a love-hate relationship. Some of them aren't fans of Eli Apple. Others love, what he's brought to the team. And he has been a solid player, especially considering what they're paying him. At the same time, there's a lot that comes with him, certainly on social media. So I think that some fans are split. But when things are going well, everybody loves everybody. And when things aren't, which we saw in Super Bowl 56, for example, I think people, still haven't necessarily let him live that one down, even though it's Cooper Kupp and he gets open on a lot of guys.
James Rappion's our guest, host of the Locked On Bengals podcast, chatting Bengals as they get ready to head to Arrowhead, as Burrowhead, as the Bengals are referring to it at this point. Key for Cincinnati on Sunday, if there's one.
Well, to me, it's always about Joe Burrow. Can you keep him upright, make sure Chris Jones doesn't wreck the game? He's playing at such a level right now. It's really second to none, including Mahomes. I think he's playing amazing. It was great last week. And the final numbers don't look like he was outstanding, but he was. And, the 9-for-9 start, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. You do that at Arrowhead, it's going to take the crowd out of it a little bit. You're going to be right where you want to be. So if you could keep him upright, not let Chris Jones wreck the game, I think it's going to go a long way towards winning and advancing to Super Bowl 57.
You like the Bengals on Sunday?
I do. I lean that way. Just how well they're playing. They just seem to find a way to make one more play, even if they are struggling. The defense has found ways to force turnovers, and it's hard to bet against a Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and you could go down the list of guys, but I'll focus on those two for now. It's hard to bet against those guys, especially with the defense that they have. So I think it'll be a tight one, but I think that they certainly are capable of finding a way to escape Arrowhead with a 4th straight victory over the Chiefs.
Let's look a little bit longer term here while we've got you, James. The odds that the Bengals iron out some sort of contract extension for Joe Burrow before camp next year?
You don't want to say 100% because that's, unless it's done,
right.
I don't think it's there, but I think it's already, a foregone conclusion. So 90%, 95%, whatever you want to put on it, I think they know what he means to this franchise, what's changed since he got here. I mean, the entire dynamic of the franchise has changed. And so when you have that, you have to treat it well. Now, will it be the richest contract ever or have the most guaranteed money ever? I don't know about that because I think Joe knows how important it's going to be to keep Jamar Chase, keep other key pieces of this team. But he's going to get paid. He's going to be much, much richer than you or me, and he deserves it, no doubt.
Yeah, it sounds cliche to say something like that about a quarterback because everybody likes their money, but Joe's just wired a little bit differently. We saw it down here for a couple of years, and I think you're obviously getting it up there in Cincinnati these days. But if he were to sign a lucrative deal that changes the dynamics of the salary cap for the Bengals, what might it compromise, if anything, in the near term?
Well, I think initially it probably wouldn't impact much just because he has that 4th year on his rookie deal, and then you have that 5th year option. But then after that, it's going to impact who you can retain and what your defense looks like is what I look at it as, because they have a lot of veterans on defense. So they're going to have to get younger on defense over the next couple of years. And it isn't just Joe. It's T. Higgins. You have to make a decision on him. Logan Wilson at linebacker. Jamar Chase, do you want to get ahead of that? Well, you can't pay him this offseason, but you can pay him next offseason. So there are a lot of guys like that you're going to have to make some tough decisions on, where they might not be hitting free agency now, but they will be in the near future, and you might want to lock them up sooner rather than later.
James, we really appreciate the time. Bengals get it done. Let's do it again before the Super Bowl.
Sounds good. Yeah, just reach out if they get it done, then we can talk about Super Bowl preview. We'll see.
We'll be pulling for him down here in Louisiana. Thanks, James.
Thanks.
He's James Rappian, Locked on Bengals. That's where the pendulum swings, and that's why the next 3 weeks for this Bengals franchise just feels so important because, yeah, you feel like with Joe Burrow there for the next 10 years, and you use air quotes and you hope that that's the case, that you're going to have good football teams. But once you pay that quarterback a ton of money, it just changes so much about the way you can operate your team. You can spend so much money elsewhere when your quarterback's on a rookie deal, and when he's not, you can't. And it's an obvious thing to say, but you just had the Bills GM get in front of a microphone on Tuesday and be like, look, they're structured a little bit differently than we are right now because they're not paying Jamar Chase or Joe Burrow really anything in the grand scheme of things. At those two positions for us in Buffalo, we got Josh Allen make $1 billion and Stephon Diggs making $1 billion. So we want to have those guys because they're really good, but we got to spend wisely elsewhere. And for the Bengals right now, probably your two best players, especially on offense, are fairly cheap. That's not going to be the case very much longer. And I do think this may be naive to think, but James said it. I kind of think I don't think you're going to see Joe Burrow demand the type of money Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson are, because I think he truly does say, look, I've got a ton of money and I just want to win. And if I take all the money and then we got to have a bunch of rookies and undrafted free agents running around and we can't be the team I want to be, that's not great for me. And it's very rare when that's the case. Brady was on a little bit of a discount for a while up there in New England. Helps when your wife's the breadwinner in the family and is making more than you. But there are some people that think that way, and this is not a salary cap situation. But like Justin Thomas in the PGA Tour, not to veer over to golf, but he literally said, like, if I signed for $300 million, $140 million, whatever, like it really wouldn't change the way I live that much. And the guys I follow, like on the golf podcast, No Laying Up, that go to his house every year in the winter and do an interview, are like, yeah, he lives in a nice house, but it's not like you know 4 movie theaters, a bowling alley, 2 basketball courts, and a helicopter. Like it's to some people, that's not the thing. It's hard to put. I can't put myself in those shoes. But I just feel like the little bit that we know of Joe, when he's pretty humble, likes to play video games, doesn't really love the fact that he's the most famous guy in Cincinnati. I think he might take a little bit of a discount. He'll get paid plenty, but I think he might take a little bit of a discount. It means you can pay the right guard a little bit more. That's just a guess on my part, and James kind of feels the same way. So I appreciate the perspective from up there. We can talk about it all we want from down here, but it helps to be kind of in the thick of it and certainly doing interviews and covering the team the way that James does. So hopefully Cincinnati gets it done on Sunday, and we can talk about it before the Super Bowl comes up in a couple of weeks. All right. Let's finish up hour number 1. Brock Cantrell is going to join us. He wears a lot of hats here in the Baton Rouge area. We're going to talk a little baseball and basketball with Brock before we get on to Shea Dixon at the top of hour 2 on Palmer Show.
This is on Palmer. Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Auctioner, We know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've got that blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
Jimmy Ott and Charles Henniger for the Thursday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're downtown at Jolly Pearl Oyster Bar on north facing Town Square. Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So I know the Pels are on the skids right now. Lost 6 in a row. Not going so hot. We know that the LSU men struggling a little bit on the hardwood as well, and this town is starving for some baseball. LSU baseball cranks up in 3 weeks. Jay Johnson will talk with the media at noon tomorrow. But if you're ready for baseball, there is some. At Baton Rouge Community College, Brock Cantro is the AD over at BRCC. Joins us now. Brock, how are you? Little BRCC baseball over at Pete Goldsby tomorrow. Am I correct?
You are absolutely correct. It's a really, really cool stadium. I know you've been out there, and the Rougarous were out there last summer, and it's our home away from home.
It's a gorgeous field, no doubt about it, and it has a ton of character in the stands. I went out to a basketball game that y'all had playing against Bossier Parish Community College a little bit earlier. The gym is gorgeous over there at BRCC. Goldsby, I would say, just character and a really nice place to watch a game.
It is. It's got a lot of character, and the field is really nice. You know, Thomas Semino, our head coach, you know, he's 50% head coach and 50% grounds crew, man. These guys just love to make their field look good. He spends a tremendous amount of time making that field look just absolutely gorgeous.
Well, look, I know everybody loves to get over to the box and watch some baseball. That's coming up in 3 weeks with BRCC in action tomorrow. You can get in very, very affordably. And if you just got some kiddos or you just want to watch a little bit of baseball, it's a great experience out there at Goldsby.
It is. One of the cool things about Thomas's team is that all 37 players on his team were from Louisiana, which makes it really, really fun to watch. The crowds are pretty good. They're good kids. And if you know baseball at all, you probably know some of the guys on our team. And if you know baseball at all, you'd also know that Thomas Semino, that Semino name's been around for a while. His dad was a pretty good coach around the area for a long time.
Yeah, I had a couple of BRCC players on the Rougarou over the summer, and I called 3 of those games. It's high level baseball. You're not going to see Dylan Cruz out there, but no. It's high level baseball. It's really enjoyable to go watch. And I had not been to anything other than really an LSU game or a big league game for 5, 6, 7 years when I moved down here. And I started calling some high school games, went out to some Rougarou games, and just going out and watching baseball is just a really, really enjoyable thing. I will certainly be out there this spring for sure.
It's interesting. I'm not, you know me, I'm a basketball guy. I'm learning to be a basketball guy, but I went out and watched us play Southern. We split a doubleheader with Southern during fall ball. And I was shocked at the talent level of these guys out there. I mean, they knocked the tar out the ball, man. It's a fun brand of baseball to watch, and I think people will be surprised on how good it is out there.
Tomorrow, 6 o'clock first pitch out at Pete's Golby Field. It'll be the BRCC Bears against Galveston College. If you're a BRCC student or employee, free admission for you out there at Goldsby. Brock, I can't let you go without talking a little bit of basketball with you. As you mentioned, you're a basketball guy. Tough going right now for the Tigers in Matt McMahon's first year, but it's just the foundation.
It is, man. I love what he's doing. We got to be patient. He's building a foundation of a team that's going to be really good. He got handed a not ideal situation, and he took it. Which shows a lot of character that he left a winning program to come here and take over in a absolute rebuild. And I think if we're all patient, we will all reap the benefits of what he does in the years to come.
How quickly is Kim Mulkey going to raise a trophy this year? Or are we going to have to wait a year?
Look, good players make great coaches, man. He's got some really good players, buddy.
Brock, we really appreciate some time. Y'all go out and see BRCC. They'll be on the diamond tomorrow night, 6 o'clock at Pete Goldsby. Brock, have a great weekend, man.
Thanks, son, as always. I appreciate it, man.
This is Brock Kansko, the BRCC athletic director. I just said that, but it really hit home with me a couple of years ago when I started calling some Parkview games, called a couple of games over in Acadiana. Just watching baseball in its purest form. Nobody likes going to the box more than me. Having the sound system cranked up and 10,000 people in the crowd and playing to go to Omaha and all that is phenomenal, and I love it dearly. And nothing better than going to a Friday 120 game up at Wrigley. I just can't get enough of that. But just watching a little baseball. So if you got a youngster that's really into baseball and you want to just go check it out, look, Goldsby Field right there near downtown Baton Rouge. BRCC will be out there tomorrow for a 6 o'clock first pitch for their season opener. So appreciate Brock coming in and hanging out with us here. He'll be out there for sure tomorrow, doing a great job over at BRCC. I mentioned this in the interview, but I went to the gym to watch my high school point guard is the head coach at Bossier Parish Community College, and they played BRCC a couple weeks ago, and that's just a gorgeous gym they've got on campus over there. So I enjoyed watching my guy John Anthony coach him up a little bit, and Brock's squad playing hard. Just good wholesome basketball out there at BRCC. So appreciate Brock for coming on and hanging out with us. That's going to do it for hour number 1 here. Fast moving hour number 1. That happens when you got a couple of guests in tow. We open things up. I basically jinxed the Bengals in the first segment. If you want to go back and check that out, I'm looking at them going, I think they're going to win. We'll dive into matchups, breakdowns and stuff tomorrow, maybe some prop bets as well. But I just like Burrow. I like the fact they've won 12 of 13. I just like the way the Bengals are playing, and I'm going to like them on Sunday, I think. In the second segment, the dumbest exercise I've done on this show in a year and a half, which is really saying something. I just went back and looked at LSU's roster from last year in basketball and the signing class that was inked and said, all right, what are they doing now? What might this have looked like? Total waste of everyone's time, but I did it. If you're interested in going back and listen to it, you certainly can. James Rapien from Locked On Bengals joined us at 1:30 to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals, about Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and what they are doing in that city right now. And, of course, we just chatted with Brock Cantro of Baton Rouge Community College. If you missed any of that, you can always catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab. Click it. Go down to the Hunt Palmer Show. All of it's uploaded there each and every day. And Want to catch us on Spotify or Apple Podcast? You certainly can. Search The Hunt Palmer Show. You'll find it right there. YouTube, always a great avenue to get all of our content here on 104.5 ESPN. You can subscribe to the channel as a whole or show by show. We appreciate it if you subscribe to The Hunt Palmer Show. You can get all our content daily right there to your fingertips. Hour number 2, going to be moving quickly as well. Got some sound from the Matt McMahon show last night. A couple of statistics that he rattled off that are like, man, because you realize they're grinding this thing, trying to get it on track, and they realize that the schedule's really difficult. But we'll have some sound from Matt McMahon. I've got SEC basketball power rankings. Had some interesting results last night in the Southeastern Conference, so we'll get to some of that. We've always got take it or leave it. But I know you folks love your football. I know you love your recruiting. There's very little recruiting going on right now, which is really, really weird based on the way we did this thing for years and years and years. But Shea Dixon will get us caught up on everything that's going on the class right now. He's also done a really good job over the last couple of days of breaking down the state in next year's class. What is that going to look like? Shea Dixon of the Bengal Tiger on 3 is going to join us to kick off hour number 2. Come right back with us after Sports Center. You're listening to the Capital City's leader in sports talk, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Miller Lite has more taste and only 1 more calorie than Michelob Ultra.
Start your day with news and newsmakers. Start your day with traffic, weather, and local stories that are important to you. Kickstart your day every day. Mornings with Brian Haldane from 6 to 9 a.m. Weekdays on Talk 107.3.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown with breaking news. Frank Reich is the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Reich was fired as head coach of the Colts back in November. During his playing career, Reich was the Panthers' starting quarterback in the first game in franchise history back in 1995. The New York Jets hire Nathaniel Hackett as the team's new offensive coordinator. Are they also hoping to get Aaron Rodgers? ESPN's Dan Graziano.
You shouldn't hire Nathaniel Hackett because you think it'll bring you Aaron Rodgers. That's the lesson from the Broncos last year. And I don't think that's exactly what the Jets have done here. But we know there's a good relationship between those two people.
Dan Graziano. Hackett was fired as head coach of the Broncos just a month ago after only 15 games on the job. Former Lions linebacker Jesse Lemonnier has died. No information yet on the cause of death. Lemonnier recently signed with the USFL's Houston Gamblers and was then traded to the Birmingham Stallions. He and his girlfriend were expecting a child. Lemonnier was just 25 years old.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Working towards the weekend here. Thursday afternoon, Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. Head out to the Jim's Firearms hotline. Shay Dixon, Bengal Tiger on 3, joins us. Shay D, how are you?
I'm doing well, hon. How are you?
I'm good. So I know that you're posting like hundreds of tidbits a day on the message board, so I'm assuming you didn't hear the first hour of my show today. Is that correct?
Break it down for me. I did not.
Okay, so I did a segment where I took all the LSU players that transferred out in basketball as well as the signing class, and I gave kind of an update on what they're doing and what's going on. Is there any specific LSU player from last year that may have transferred out that you'd like an update on?
I mean, are you going to take me straight to Birmingham?
I'm going to take you straight to Birmingham. Old Eric Gaines, 12.6 points per game, 4.5 dimes per game, shooting almost 38% from 3. He's doing it big for the Blazers.
He's also gone viral on Twitter a number of times because of his dunks, so there's been that too.
My guy loves him some Eric Gaines, sadly, doing it for Andy Kennedy over in Birmingham. And not
hey, he put 22 on La Tech this month.
How about that? See? It's in there. You never know. My boy Shay D just loves him some Eric Gaines. All right, let's talk some recruiting. How weird is it for you that the last week in January is fairly slow as opposed to what it was the first decade you did this?
Oh, man, the days of not only the recruiting bash, which, you know, the early signing period killed, now I'm quite confident that February signing day is dying altogether, soon to be extinct with the dinosaurs. I mean, it is, you look around the country, Hunt, and there are few and far between guys who are still uncommitted going into signing day, having a big announcement, and that's a product of the December early signing period. More teams want to get guys enrolled early. Them having official visitors for juniors in the spring of a junior year, which they never had. So a lot of kids take visits, and they've already decided where they want to go, and then they're more than ready to sign early in December. February signing day is certainly not what it used to be. I mean, I said this coming out of December signing period. They may sign no high school guys the rest of the way, and that could be the case.
So that was going to be my next question, so we'll move on from it. Like, have you seen a difference in the willingness to give offers now that there's not a 25 cap and you don't have to be as careful with, we might run out of room here? Like, are they offering more players, or are they still as selective as ever?
No, because I think they're as selective as ever because you don't want to have to hand out a bunch of offers and then take commits and drop them or turn kids away, and all that stuff obviously matters, and you don't want a bad reputation for that. I think the no cap on the 25, like for instance, LSU signed 25 in December, and that's may well be where they're at. So they're right at what the normal cap would be. I could go right now and give you, let's see, the team rankings. LSU's in the top 5. Bama has 28, Georgia 26, Texas 24, Ohio State 20, LSU 25, and then so forth. Miami 25, OU 25, Notre Dame 24. So everyone's still hovering around that 25 cap, what was previously the cap. I just think they're all spending their extra scholarship now on more of a sure thing, which would be transfer portal additions and filling, if you've got 7, 8 open spots on your roster, you're not going to, instead of signing 33 high school kids, sign 25 high school kids and get 7 or 8 kids out of the portal that you think can come in and kind of help you right away.
You said it would not surprise you if LSU did not sign another high school player in this cycle. We'll flip that on it. Would it surprise you? Would you be surprised if in 8 days they said, yeah, we signed this 3-star from here?
No, because they really are in it now with one kid, Jamel Howard, who's a 3-star out of Chicago, defensive tackle, and he is a product of blowing up as a senior, had a big senior year. All of a sudden in December, Hunt Palmer's sitting here, and I've got an Illinois offer, and Wisconsin's kind of flirting with me, but then I just put out my film, and Michigan offers, and Wisconsin offers, and then LSU offers, and it's right up against signing day, and you're kind of like, hey, I don't need to sign early. I should probably wait till February. And he kind of bet on himself there and picked up even more offers. And he was at LSU this past weekend. He was going to go to Ole Miss. Now he's going to Miami instead this weekend. And it seems like it's kind of a Wisconsin, LSU, Miami, Michigan group that's kind of battling here at the very end. So I would not be surprised if they landed him. He would be a true nose tackle, which they don't have in this class right now, at least in the high school ranks. But I don't think that they're a shoe-in to get him or anything like that. But that'll be the one we're monitoring.
I like that story a lot, and I like the position he plays. So wouldn't mind at all if he decided to come on down to Baton Rouge. So what are the coaches doing right now? Seeing juniors?
For the most part, yes, and kind of just touring around. They've got Brian Kelly's been going around the entire state of Louisiana, checking in on juniors, sophomores, meeting with head coaches. He did that right out of the gates kind of a year ago, but right then he was so fresh at things that now he's had a year under his belt. He's met a lot of these guys. He's signed a number of their players. So a lot of just rolling around to high schools. But then obviously position coaches are kind of all over the country checking in on high schools and really coast to coast. And if you're on social media or you're following any of that, you'll see every day 4 or 5 kids will pop up from juniors in high school or sophomores and say, hey, I got offered by LSU today. And that's usually because the coach had swung by the school and kind of handed the offer over. So we're in what they call the eval period, which is really just coaches on the road, handshakes and kissing babies and handing out offers.
When in this state, when we see a class coming that looks to be locked and loaded, like the 2011 class, like the 2015 class, you can kind of see it a couple of years off. I know that you've taken a deep dive on the Bengal Tiger on next year's Louisiana class. I'm not quite getting those vibes from you as far as the top end talent in this class. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think this current 24 class for Louisiana will be a lot of guys who are in that 4-star range. And I think they'll sign double-digit guys from Louisiana. But here early on, we haven't seen that, like, 2 or 3 guys, or not that many, 1 or 2 guys maybe that debut as sort of really high 5-star type players like, Zayvon Hurd got there. Shelton Sampson was in that range. And there's many years where the state produces that. I don't know if it's going to be as top-heavy as that. There are some really good players. I mean, Wardell Mack and Tylen Singleton and Jawan Johnson at LCA, a number of others that could well be top 50 players and could push for that. But more so, I think it's spread out to where there's, going to be well over 10 guys that they would look at and say, hey, that's the guy you take. But doesn't necessarily mean it's a bunch of Will Campbells and Jalen Hurds walking around.
And the first response on the Bengal Tiger and the message board to you when you posted that, and it was the exact same thought that I had. It feels like one of those years where they're going to take a bunch of kids from Louisiana camp and they're going to see a bunch of kids at camp in the summer that go out there and compete and show out and go, oh, yep, that's going to be a take for us. Is that kind of the vibes you get from it?
Yeah, I think so. And certainly even guys with offers, when you go through camp, either you kind of say, oh, let's pull back a bit, or you say, man, this kid, we got to get him in the boat. And I love camp season. And like Frank Wilson, we went through all those years where he demanded as recruiting coordinator that you almost didn't even get an offer. You couldn't commit until you did come to camp. And what they do is everything from almost an NFL combine type setting where you're running 40s and jumping, but you're also talking with the coaches. They go over film. They get an idea for kind of how you are in the film room, and then they have you out hands-on on the practice fields where they're running a camp with all these different guys from around the country coming in to compete and earn offers or whatever it might be. So that's that evaluation point. That's the only point, even with all the changes to the NCAA calendar, that month or those 3 weeks in June are the only time coaches can actually be hands-on with kids, right? Like working them out, putting them through drills. So I understand why that's an important piece, and I actually like it in years. I think they hit really well in years where they really have everybody to camp. They get a good look at everyone, and you can move forward from there. And look, not even great players, or guys who were 5-star signed, I can remember DJ Chark came to camp, and not many people even knew who he was, walked away with an offer. And, that's happened time and again where guys who end up being really good players sort of break through at that LSU camp.
No question about it. Last thing here, Shay, I opened my show yesterday saying, it dawns on me that after 3 years of just absolute upheaval every single offseason on the coaching staff, that LSU's kept everybody around from year to year and year one to year two in Brian Kelly's era here in Baton Rouge. How important is that in recruiting, that LSU's got the same staff they hired a year ago?
Oh, it's always important. I mean, I think continuity, whether it's with coordinators, and not turning them over year after year, or just coaches to help out in recruiting, is massive. And look, so much is shook up now by the portal and guys leaving and everything that kind of comes with the new era of recruiting. But certainly not having to worry about a staff shakeup, at least by any large scale. Look, there hasn't been a single person on the staff kind of been shook up from their previous role or leave or anything like that. So that definitely helps things continue to go smoothly. And more so, look, it's just as specific as give me a position quarterback like Joe Sloan. He's got his 24 quarterbacks, and now he's working on 2025 guys. Well, if he's still on staff, every year, well, then he's built up a rapport with these guys for 2 to 3 years, where a lot of schools will be recruiting against, or maybe bringing in somebody new or have only been on that guy for a year. So the more continuity you have year over year, recruiting-wise, the longer those relationships have been built.
Shady, we appreciate it, man.
All right, Hunt, we'll talk soon.
Yep. Shay Dixon, the Bengal Tiger, on 3, all your recruiting team coverage. About to be fast and furious with baseball over there. I'll be jumping in every week. And over on the message board, they're talking a little baseball. Incidentally, talking baseball, Jay Johnson tomorrow will take the podium for Media Day at noon. We will carry that live for you here on 104.5 ESPN. We'll kind of start with Hanny's show. Charles will be out tomorrow, so I will sit in. We'll toss you to that press conference. We'll give you that in its duration, and then I'll pick things up and go until 3 o'clock. So looking forward to LSU Baseball Media Day. We'll be carrying it live on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. When we come back, Matt McMahon had his coach's show last night. Had a couple of things that I found interesting about the mindset of this team and some statistics that are something else to listen to. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $8,500 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. New 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $8,500 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right. Bayou.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
Championship Sunday in the NFL playoffs. Tune in Sunday at 2 p.m. when the Eagles host the 49ers for the NFC Championship. Then the Chiefs host the Bengals at 5:30 for the AFC Championship. Right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, moving on up on a Thursday. Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Matt McMahon had his coach's show last night. He and Chris Blair sat down at TJ Ribs, kind of kicked some basketball around. And as you'd imagine, a lot of questions from Chris about the psyche of the team, about the resiliency of the team, about the frustration that they've gone through over this 3-week skid, and Matt McMahon was pretty candid, and in some terms he used some cliches to talk about how tough you got to be and how this is tough on a lot of people because not a lot of folks in that room have lost at this degree anytime in their basketball lives, but that's the case they're in right now. So I wanted to start with a soundbite talking about things that are on the court, and one of them defensively, and it's one of the things that Matt McMahon said is giving them some issues, and we think about their issues on offense, but it can pretty quickly translate to the defensive side of the ball.
Here's the issue, Chris, and everyone knows this who follows the game. If you can't score, you can't change defenses because you're always on your heels trying to get your transition defense back and set. Same thing if you turn it over. You're playing in disadvantaged situations in the open floor. And so for us to have better ball security there in the second half, higher percentage shots and to do a better job of finishing layups at the rim for the most part, it enables you to have some flexibility to mix our coverages defensively, which is something that's very important for us to try and stay in these games.
Coach, it all goes together. And that's what you get. I was on the air admitting my frustration with the 7-8 straight shots that Arkansas made, 6 of which were dunks and layups in the game back on Tuesday. It was so uncomfortable to sit there and watch. And you would look at it and go, man, that's terrible defense. That maybe is a lack of effort. They're just not playing hard. The other part of it is Arkansas is consistently getting the ball on runouts because they're getting turnovers and missed threes that bounce off, and you just get it and go. And you can force the issue on a defense that can't get back and set itself. Not only can it not get back and set itself, it can't get back and change into a zone or change ball screen coverage that you didn't do the last time on the floor that you want to do this time because you're running back trying to stop it from throwing it down. It bleeds over to the like it does in every sport. Football, if your defense continues to bow its neck, but the offense goes 3 and out every time, and they got to go right back out there, and the field position sucks, it's gonna get you. It's the same thing with basketball. It wears and wears and wears on you, and then it puts you at such a disadvantage on the defensive end. Plus, teams can play pretty free on the offensive end against LSU because missing a shot's not going to be the worst thing in the world. They're not going to score when they go back down there, so we'll just get another one. There's so much that goes into LSU's offensive woes that force you to get behind the 8 ball and eventually get separated from in a basketball game, and that's certainly one of them. And so there's 2 pieces to this quote that we're going to play. It's all in one soundbite, but he makes 2 points in the soundbite. Chris Blair basically, said, how frustrated are your guys that they keep putting up shots, and you think eventually they've got to fall. Was kind of the way he led into it, and Matt McMahon kind of said, "Well, here we go.
Don't fall." Well, the bottom line is they're not falling, so we got to find ways. As a coaching staff, I always come back to that. I think it's twofold. One, we got to make sure there's confidence and belief that we can make them. 2, we got to clean up execution and find a way to, that's the difference in winning and losing, is if you can get a guy an open 3 with 2 more feet of separation from his defender by setting a better screen, by delivering a better pass on time, on target. Those are the things that we've got to continue to focus on and improve that we have control over. I'm happy. People, you might not believe this, Chris, but we've taken more shots at the rim than our opponents have in league play.
I believe
And
it.
when I say at the rim, that's inside the restricted area. The problem is the other team's making more than we are. And so we got to find ways to finish plays at a more efficient rate in the painted area.
Now, I knew that LSU was shooting at a certain point like 27% around the rim or something, just something unfathomable. But I did not know that LSU was attempting more shots at the rim. Now, they chart everything they do over there. Everything you do is charted. The turnovers are charted. The jump shots are charted. The rebounds are charted. The minutes are charted. The rotations are charted. Free throws are charted. They chart everything. You get the picture. And for LSU to get to the rim for more shots than their opponents surprises me significantly. Now, not every shot at the rim is a good shot. If you're a 6'3" guard going off one shot, 1 foot, kind of fading away against a 7-foot shot blocker, that shot stinks. So it's not. I'm not trying to sit here and paint the picture that LSU is, they're getting great shots, they're just not making them. That's not the point. But they are getting to the rim. They're just not finishing almost anything, which you can work on that for sure, and they do. You put the big gloves on, use the broomsticks, you get physical at the rim and knock them as they try to finish through contact. You rep it and you rep it and you rep it and you work on it. But at a certain point, you got to finish the play at the rim. I mean, there was a stretch of 2 possessions in the Arkansas game on Tuesday where Derek Fountain missed it from a foot, and then they came back down the next possession, and Fountain was standing a foot from the basket, uncontested, and Hannibal threw it over his head into the stands. That should have been 2 dunks. Instead, it was no points. I mean, some of the things that they're doing defy statistics, defy probability. And to shoot more than your opponent at the rim and to get beat as badly as they have in the last couple of weeks, it's hard to rationalize. Sadly, I'm not sure there's a great fix for that other than, hey, make them. That's about all you got. And then there's one more bite from the show last night that I wanted to play in case if you'll play this last one.
Hey, we need everybody. We need everybody. It's been tough sledding here the last 3.5 weeks. There's no doubt about that. Disappointed we haven't been able to perform at a higher level. But this is a chance for a reset. We knew going in those first 8 league games was the number one most difficult schedule in the league. Here's our opportunity to get better tomorrow and Friday in practice and get back to our winning ways on Saturday. So you go back. I always keep coming back to that December 28th. You come out and there are 11,000 people in there, and the environment was incredible. And I thought our guys really fed off that. So we appreciate the support. Hope to have a great crowd. And then we also understand our responsibility to come out and play with great effort, great energy, play connected as one, and play disciplined basketball to give ourselves a chance to win.
Coach, I'll plead with them a little bit here. They're playing a Texas Tech team that has not won a Big 12 game, and you'll hear that a lot. You'll hear me say it again tomorrow. We'll give a breakdown of Texas Tech tomorrow. Here's the deal. The two teams that you watch play on Saturday in the PMAC are not going to the tournament. They are not winning games. They're not great basketball teams. The level of the play in the game is not going to be phenomenal. But LSU does have a chance to win on Saturday. Yes, I said they had a chance to win against Auburn. Yes, I said they had a chance to win against Texas A&M on the road. I have said that in the past. I don't think they're going to win on Saturday. They can win on Saturday. So if you'd like to go out there on a Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock and watch a game that LSU's got a chance to win and maybe be a little bit of a support to that team that's really struggling, this would be a pretty good spot for it. They can win on Saturday. Yes, Texas Tech's played Kansas close and Texas close. Iowa State got after them a little bit, but they played Baylor close. They've been more competitive than LSU. I concede all that. But they're also 0-7 in the league. They've clearly got some flaws. Chris Beard left a really solid program there, but it's not quite at the level it was when he left. So Matt McMahon's urging the fans to come out. The players have urged the fans to come out. They could use some help on Saturday, and they can win. I'm not going to give you that message next Thursday. I promise. Tide are coming in next weekend. This is different than the Tide. This is the Red Raiders. I'll just give you a plea. Buy a ticket. Go out there and watch them. Give them a little support. It's a really tough go for these guys right now. And it's frustrating for the fans. It's frustrating for the coaches. It is certainly frustrating for the players. And I'm sure at times a little bit embarrassing because of the way that these scores have gotten out of hand. But they got a chance on Saturday. They could use a little bit of help. That would certainly, go a long way. So 1 o'clock tip-off for LSU and Texas Tech. We'll give you a scouting report on the Red Raiders tomorrow. That's the sound from the Matt McMahon Show last night. Some kind of surprising results in SEC play last night. We'll get to some of that. Plus, I got some power rankings. Where do your Tigers come in? That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Love telling you about One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com. If your closet is just a disaster like mine is, it can be fixed. David Duvall and his team have been in the game for 30 years. It starts with a questionnaire. Maybe it's best during the questionnaire if the man in the house steps out so that the woman can tell him about how many pairs of shoes she has. And then he'll say, all right, we can deal with that. The man can step back in and go through the rest of the survey. How many suits you got? How much closet space do you currently have? What do you need? What would you like in your closet? Cubbies, mirrors, tie racks, drawers. They can help you customize a closet that fits your needs and fits into your home. And guess what? If you tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you, they're not going to charge you to tear down your current closet, and they're not going to charge you for the labor that it costs to put it in. They're just going to charge you for the cost of that unit. One company, one contractor. It's one bath and closets. You know the great things they can do with the bathrooms. If you haven't seen it, go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. You can see the before and after. You can see all the testimonials as well. David Duvall and his team are the best in the business. They'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them at onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, the latest on the Sean Payton saga, and we'll recap Pell's T-Wolves. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So, 4 games, in the SEC last night. Some fairly surprising results. I don't know which Rocky it was in because I've never seen any of the Rockies, but at one point, his trainer says he's not a machine, he's a man, right? That's a line from Rocky. I don't know which one. Not important. It's the way I kind of felt watching Alabama last night. Not a machine, they're men. Mississippi State had them on the ropes. State went into the half up 7, but Bama did enough in the second half. And their undoing, which it will likely be if and when their season comes to an end with a loss, they went 5 of 28 from 3. We know they're a three-point shooting team. They couldn't throw it in the ocean. Sears was 0 of 5. Clowney was 0 of 6. Miller only took 4 threes. He was 1 of 4. But they played good enough defense, and Mississippi State is inept enough on offense that Alabama was able to win. Now, interestingly, Mississippi State has gone to the last possession of its last 2 games with Florida and Bama and had the basketball. And Chris Jans has decided not to call timeout and just let his guys play. I don't think that's right or wrong. I think it's just what you believe you want to do. I'm fine with it. But they haven't gotten the look they wanted either time, and they lose the game by 3. Tennessee, that defense is something. 70-41, they beat Georgia. 29-point drubbing of the Bulldogs up in Knoxville. Florida beat South Carolina 81-60. Nice effort there. South Carolina is just putrid. G.G. Jackson continues to be all they've got. He goes for 20 and 10, but he is really all they got. And then the big game in the SEC last night. If you missed this, Texas A&M went to Auburn. They didn't just win. They clobbered Auburn. The game was never really close, ever. Auburn tried to claw back in it, but they could only cut it to about 9 at any point, and A&M would separate again. I watched this game, and it was a domination by A&M, who snapped the longest winning streak at home in college basketball. Gonzaga lost last week, so Auburn had the longest winning streak in the nation at home, 28 games snapped. Texas A&M 79, Auburn 63. So Buzz's team keeps winning. I gave you that analogy. He said they needed to be +4. You had to win a couple more than you did lose on the road. And you had to hold serve at home. They go on the road, get their second conference road win of the season, a 16-point beatdown of Auburn. Boots Radford from right down the street at McKinley, 30 points and 9 rebounds for Texas A&M last night. Kept getting to the bucket time and time again. So here's our latest installment of SEC Power Rankings. We'll go through them fairly quickly on the basketball side of things. Bama still number 1, 18-2 overall. They're 8-0 in the league. Tennessee number 2. They are 17-3, 7-1 in league play. Then there's a drop, and to me the drop's to A&M. I think A&M has proven itself right now to be playing the third best basketball in the league. They're 6-1 in league play, 14-6 overall, but 6-1 in league play. Look, here's the deal. I don't like giving A&M a lot of credit, but fact of the matter is that if you count this year's 7 SEC games where they're 6-1, the SEC tournament last year where they went 3-1, and then the end of the season last year, they have won 14 of their last 17 games against SEC teams. 14-3 of their last 17. You can say all you want that the Buzz hire's not working and that was Woodward's failure at College Station. They're 14-3 in their last 17 against league teams. I don't think they've got pros. I don't think they're super talented. They're playing hard. They're playing good defense, and they're playing efficient offense now, and they're winning games. So it was atrocious in November and December. No two ways about it. They lost 8 games in a row in conference play last year, which is why they didn't make the tournament. That's all true. Right now, they're playing great. I've got them at 3rd. Drops Auburn down to 4th. You get thumped like that on your home floor. I got to give A&M a nod over you at that point. But Auburn's still 6-2 in league play, 16-4. I think they're a good team. I do have Kentucky up to number 5. They've won 4 in a row after a 1-3 start, 14-6 overall. So I've got Kentucky at number 5. I put Florida at 6. They've won 5 of 6. They're the best of the rest, I think, right now. I think everybody else below this line is not really looking like a tournament team. So I put Florida at the top of that group. Arkansas at 7. Eric Musselman is going berserk. If you're an LSU fan, it drove you nuts probably on Tuesday because he's running all over the place and screaming and pumping up the crowd, and your team's getting crushed, so you probably hate it. He didn't really have a choice right now. Their back's against the wall, and they've got to win a lot more than they lose. And he's got to light a fire under him somehow. So if he wants to run around like a crazy person, I can't really hate on him. They beat us by 100. So what are you going to do? I've got Arkansas at number 7. Got Missouri at 8. They got a big home game with Iowa State coming up in the Big 12 Challenge this weekend. They're 4-4 in league play, 15-5. So that's the top 8 in the league: Bama, Tennessee, A&M, Auburn, Kentucky, Florida, Arkansas, and then Missouri. Here comes the bottom 6 teams in the league. I got Vanderbilt at number 9. They're 3-4 in league play, 10-10, but I think they're playing better. Their offense has been better overall. They've been fairly competitive most nights. I like the way they're playing a little bit. Georgia, 3-4 in the league as well. I've got them at 10. Mississippi State is being competitive right now, but they're losing, and their offense is awful. So it's hard for me to put them much above this. You got to the last possession against Florida and Bama. That is impressive, but you're losing. You're still 1-7, so you are what you are. I got them at 11. Got LSU at 12. We know they're 1-7 in the league, 12-8 overall, but I do think the teams that I've got behind them here are worse than LSU. I think Ole Miss right now may be the worst team in the league without Matthew Morrell, who was playing when they beat South Carolina, but he's going to come back, and I can't really put anybody below South Carolina at this point. So they're 1-6 in the league, 8-12 overall. G.G. Jackson scoring 16 points per game. He was a 5-star recruit. He is very good. Everybody else on that team, not great. So that's the bottom 6. Vanderbilt, Georgia, Mississippi State, and then 12, 13, 14, LSU, Ole Miss, and South Carolina. Those are my SEC basketball power rankings at the moment. Very disappointed to see Texas A&M playing quality basketball the way they are, but I can't really ignore it at this point. So we'll take one more time out. We'll play some Take It or Leave It, and we'll hand things off to Matt Moscona here on a Thursday.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford. Check out the website, BayouFord.com. I did this morning. They've got some incredible specials going on at Bayou Ford. Right now, a new 2022 Ford F-150 XLT, $4,000 off MSRP, plus $1,000 in Ford credit cash, 0% financing on those new 2022 Ford F-150 XLTs. You can find those on the website right now. You can find the Black Widows if that's your bag as well. If you're looking for something a little bit different, the Explorer Expedition, maybe a Mustang or a Bronco, you're in the market for a new car, get started with their buyback program. They'll buy your current vehicle from you. That'll get you started moving towards a new purchase, and every new purchase at Bayou Ford comes with a 1,000,000-mile powertrain warranty. Check out the website. The inventory is all there. BayouFord.com is the website. BayouFord.com is the website. Bayou Ford, they're going to do right by you.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've got that blue sky, I've got that sunshine.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution.
Me, Jimmy Ott and Charles Henniger for the Thursday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're downtown at Jolly Pearl Oyster Bar on North facing Town Square. Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. presented by Bet Rivers of 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, we got a loaded lineup here on Take It or Leave It, so let's get right to it, Taylor Sharp.
Yeah, let's get to it. Hunt, this is what the problem is with the Mississippi State education. When asked what impresses him about the Bengals offense, Chief linebacker Willie Gay said, nothing, take it or leave it, nothing impressive about the Bengals offense.
All right. Willie, how'd you do against Sparrow and Chase this year? Well, you lost. How'd you do last year? Well, you lost. How'd you do in college at Mississippi State? Oh, you lost twice. Maybe cool it. I'll leave it, Willie. There's some impressive pieces of that offense, and you'll probably have your hands full on Sunday if the past repeats itself. So calm down, Willie.
At the Loyola Chicago versus Duquesne game last night, an Uber Eats delivery guy walked onto the floor just feet away from the action. This was staged. Take it or leave it.
100% take it. If you haven't seen the video, it's very obvious. This is a guy who's wearing like cool tennis shoes, got the Uber Eats bag, and it doesn't take some sort of genius to realize when you're 4 feet away from guys playing a college basketball game in an arena with multiple thousand people there, you're probably not supposed to walk right out there. Plus, you can't deliver Uber Eats. You got to have a ticket to go to the game. So this is a brilliant marketing ploy by somebody in Uber Eats to have some willing participant grab an Uber Eats bag, go buy a ticket, go into the game, and then wander out on the floor during the game. It worked. Everybody's talking about it. We're talking about it. It was great marketing, but it's 100% fake. There's no chance anybody could be that oblivious to walk out into the middle of a court with an Uber Eats bag.
You so lack imagination, Hunt.
Mm-hmm. Although there was that guy at LSU football this year that was so out of his mind on drugs that just walked out into the middle of the field during a game.
He stood there and watched like 2 plays.
Yeah. So, drugs are impressive at times.
Okay, you may know him from being on Major League, but Bob Uecker turns 89 years old today and is still the voice of the Milwaukee Brewers, working at 89. Take it or leave it.
I'm leaving that all day long. I'd like to quit working by 39, quite frankly. I got 4 years to get it done, but I don't like my odds. So, yeah, I think Bob Uecker is awesome. I don't like the Brewers at all, but he's still 89 and does the games without a color man. He does play-by-play and color, the entire thing, all broadcast by himself. He is a national treasure when it comes to baseball. So, cheers to another year behind the mic for Bob Uecker.
Steph Curry was ejected last night for throwing his mouthpiece. Ejected for throwing a mouthpiece. Take it or leave it.
I got to leave this. It's Steph Curry. We don't need to be throwing him out for throwing a mouthpiece. If he throws it at a player and hits him in the face, like, we'll talk about it. But he's ticked off. He threw a mouthpiece. Let's just get on with it. I'm not for technical fouls. I'm not for ejections. I'm for referees looking the other way. Unless we got a fight or somebody won't get off the court, let's just cool it with the ejections.
Curry been ejected 4 times in his career, all for throwing mouthpieces.
I didn't know that.
ESPN's next 30 for 30 is on the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. Bullies of Baltimore will debut at 8:30 p.m. on Sunday, February 5th. Bullies of Baltimore, take it or leave it.
I will take it. This is great. Like, this is prime time for me personally for a documentary. I was 12. I watched those games. I watched the playoffs. I watched the Super Bowl. I watched how great they were, but I was 12. I think when I go back and rewatch, I'll have a further appreciation and probably learn some things that I didn't know. It's one of those deals where I'll have some perspective on it, but we'll get all the details. So that's really, really cool. I did see somebody tweet out a stat on Twitter earlier today that those Ravens allowed 4 points per game in the playoffs, which is pretty salty. So a little different time when they were playing defense. They weren't dealing with spread offenses and guys chunking all over the yard, but they were still really, really good, and they had Hall of Famers all over that defense. So, yeah, I'll be locked in. I think 30 for 30 has been one of the best things ESPN has ever done. I loved so many of them. I obviously thought Pony Express was awesome. I thought The Best That Never Was on Marcus Dupree was fantastic. I still have to watch the 2 Escobars. I thought apparently everyone loved that one on the drug dealer and soccer and that whole deal. The U was probably my favorite one they ever did with the Miami stuff. I'm fascinated by all these 30 for 30s. And so, yeah, I'm locked in for Bullies of Baltimore. That'll be the week between the conference championship games and the Super Bowl. So nice little time for them to drop that in there.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out. I was 4 when they won that Super Bowl, so need to learn a little bit more about them. Although, the defense was good if Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl.
That's exactly right.
All right, last one. A Tennessee student came out of the stands last night, hit a layup, free throw, and three-pointer, and a half-court shot in succession to win $600. They're shortchanging the sharpshooter with only $600. Take it or leave it.
I got to take this. You're knocking down a layup, a free throw, a three-pointer, and a half-court shot all in a row. That's got to be a semester tuition. That's got to be $2,500. That's got to be $10,000. $600. You can barely pay for your car getting towed at $600. We gotta beef this up, Tennessee. How much are we paying Heupel? We got him up to like $8.5 million. I think we can pay this guy more than $600. Two things. Like, one, so the layup, we're talking. Sometimes you got a person out there that literally can't get the ball from half court to the rim. We've all seen those people go out there. We don't have to. But if you get like a person maybe that played high school basketball, or is strong enough to do that, layup's gonna be a 95% shot. The free throw's gonna be a 50% shot. The three's gonna be like a 15% shot, and the half court shots, maybe a 5% shot. That's the odds are not very good that that's gonna happen. You gotta pay these people more than $600 for hitting that. Incidentally, I will tell a horror story from my childhood. So I went to Loyola up in Shreveport for high school, and I would go to the Loyola games in middle school, and it was a big deal to go and watch the Flyers play. And I got picked when I was in 7th grade. So fairly close to like being in high school and actually playing on that floor, which I did for 3 years. But I get picked to go do something very similar to this. Now, it wasn't timed, and it was called Let's Make a Deal. And they had sponsors, and the guy would be on the microphone and go, all right, if you make a layup, we'll give you $10 to McDonald's. And you make a layup and go, all right, you can take the $10, or you can shoot a free throw, and we'll give you $50 to Barnes & Noble. I'm just making it, whatever the case may be. And so it was like Let's Make a Deal or no deal, where you could choose where you stop as long as you made the shot. If you missed it, you got nothing. So he goes, all right, if you make a layup, we'll give you the $10 McDonald's, whatever it was. And I was a middle school basketball player, eventual high school basketball player. Make a layup in 7th grade. I go up there and just slam it right off the bottom of the rim. I was nervous. There's people watching. I was probably wearing like bulky Doc Martens or something, knowing what 7th grade was like, and just slammed it in the bottom of the rim. And the guy who was doing the PA at the game, who actually had a microphone and was like talking over the loudspeaker, who I knew and had been my baseball coach in elementary school and middle school, literally started laughing at me in front of the entire gym, which to me might as well have been Madison Square Garden. I was in 7th grade, and this is as big a basketball game as I'm going to in Shreveport. So this person needs more than $600. You got me choking on a chicken bone.
Matt McMahon needs to get this kid an NIL deal.
When I saw $600, like, that is really pitiful.
Usually it's like, what, $10,000?
I mean, yeah, you would think. And they've got,
like
for the hole-in-ones that they do at tournaments, you make a hole-in-one, win $1 million, or win a car or whatever, it's an insurance policy. You just pay the premium, and the insurance company's on the hook for it. That's probably not the case here, but they need to, let's beef it up a little bit. You guys are knocking down shots. We need to be paying out a little bit better. By the way, speaking of 30 for 30s that I left out, obviously The Last Dance was the best they ever did, and then also during COVID they released the McGuire and Sosa one, which was just straight out of my childhood. I was 10 for that, and that was Sosa was my guy. The Cubs were my team, and the nostalgia on that. And it was right in the thick of COVID, where there were no sports, so that was like appointment viewing for me to watch that. But I love the 30 for 30s. I'll be all over the Bullies of Baltimore coming up in a couple of weeks. All right, that'll do it for us here on a Thursday. One more reminder for you before we get out of here. Tomorrow, Off the Bench will be regular schedule programming. Jimmy Ott's Game Time, regular schedule program from 10 to noon. At noon, we will fire up the Jay Johnson press conference from over at Alec Box Stadium. I'll come on in Hanny's spot because he won't be here tomorrow. Very briefly, we'll throw it over to the box, and you'll hear 45 minutes of Jay Johnson starting at noon here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Whenever he stops, I will take over likely during Hanny's show, and then I'll run you until 3 o'clock. We'll be heavy on reaction to that. Very much looking forward to hear what Coach Johnson has to say as they fire up practice in earnest tomorrow. So that's our scheduling note for tomorrow, Jay Johnson's press conference at noon. If you missed anything today, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab. Find it on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on YouTube. Wherever you find our audio, that's where you can find it daily. So open the show giving my thoughts on the Cincinnati Bengals as what I believe should be the betting favorite. They are not. They give you some odds on Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to win the Super Bowl MVP, which are as good as you're going to get them right now. There's some money to be made maybe on Jamar and Joe. Give you a what could have been in the second segment, looking at LSU's basketball team from last year and then the signees that decided to go elsewhere. Give you an update on what they're doing wherever they are in the world of college basketball. James Rappian from Locked On Bengals was great talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. Also had Brock Cantor at the end of hour number 1 talking BRCC as they open their baseball season tomorrow. Shea Dixon from the Bengal Tiger on 3 at 2 o'clock talking recruiting. What are they doing right now? It's kind of the haze in the barn for this class. What's coming up in the state of Louisiana. Had some Matt McMahon sound and our SEC Power Rankings in hour number 2 as well. Jimmy Yacht's Game Time coming to you tonight from 6 to 8. Matt Moscona is coming up here driving you home on After Further Review. See you tomorrow around noon for Jay Johnson on Palmer Show.